Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's very nice to have you here for the second video about the awk command. If you didn't see it already, I recommend you to watch the first one, and I recommend you as well to download the file in the description, as always, to follow with me and try around how awk is working and play with it, and so on and so forth. I will give you some exercises, as always, as well, for you to solve them if you want. You can pause the video at that point and try to find the solution. So let's begin with awk, and let's begin with the options you can give to the command line itself. First of all, we saw that there are records which are by default line given to the input of awk, and there are fields as well, as you can see on the right hand side of the video, and the fields are separated by default by white space. If I take a CSV like this one, you can see that the fields are not separated with spaces but with comma, and I would like to manipulate this field, for example, this file, for example, to display the first field of each record, so the first column, or the third one, and so on. So how can I do that? Well, I need first to change the field separator, and for that I can use -F uppercase, giving the new separator, and then write a awk program. So let's say I want to display the price of the products which are in my CSV, and here we go. If I didn't put this -F comma, it wouldn't work because the field, as I was saying, by default is separated for awk with a space. You can as well change the variable fs for field separator directly. And if you want to change or to create a variable with awk, you can use -v, and then you change the value of the variable itself. And if I do that, it's exactly the same as doing that. And why this -v can be very useful, let's say that you build a regex in a shell script, like for example, my regex is equal to SDA, why not? So here I just created a global variable, an environment variable in my shell, which is equal to SDA. And normally, I mean, you shouldn't create too many global environment variables because every script can then use it, and if you change it in many places, it can be a problem. That said, you don't have the choice. You will have a lot of environment variable with a shell. But for this example, it's good. It's good enough. So if I want to use my regex into awk, I could first try to do that. So lsblk is a file in that case, and I could just try to put my regex here, but it won't work because it's not good at all. First of all, okay. If I want my regex as a pattern, I would put it here, and it doesn't work because, and I will print the first one. Doesn't work because my regex for awk is just a string of character. It's not a variable. So I need to give the variable to awk, and this variable will be called var. And then I could try to use var as a regular expression, like that. But it doesn't work either because in that case, again, awk will think that var is a string and it is my regex, and it won't look at the value of the variable var itself. So I need to use another thing, which is an operator. The operator tilde, which means matching regex. So if the first column matches the regex var, in that case I will print the first field of each record, which means the first word of each line. And here we go, it works. So it can be really practical to just create a regex in your shell scripts and use it in awk directly. There is another option you can use, and it's -f, and let's say I want to write the prog print1 in a file. Then you can use it with awk using -f lowercase this time, and it will work. It's a convenient way to just write your awk programs into a file. That's all for the option for the command line awk. Next, we will just change a bit the structure of a program, because the last time we saw that awk accepts a pattern as an action as an awk program, but it's more than that actually. You can use the special pattern begin with an action and the special pattern end with an action. And to be very precise, you can actually do this as many times as you want. So you can have a pattern and an action and another pattern and another action, or just an action if you want, because as we saw in the last video, you have to either way use a pattern or an action, but not both at the same time. It's not mandatory. So what means begin? Begin will just execute an action before the file or the input you give will be processed. So for example, if I want to just print the field 1 and 4, from my file lsblk, I can do that, but I don't want the header. I don't want the name and size. I want something a bit more fancy. So first of all, I can just delete them by saying, hey, I don't want the first record in my output. Number NR is number of record, as we saw the last video. And I can use begin to just print my new headers. And in print, not for print, but I can just chain different action with using a semicolon. And then this new empty string will be added on a new line. So let's see if I do that. And now I have my new header, disk size, a new line, and then the information I want. It's very similar for end, except that awk will execute an action after processing your input. So for example, if we take our command here and we want at the end to print something like this is done and print before an empty line, here we go. So let's do some exercises now. How would you only display the column price, which is the second column, from the file product_sold.csv with a header $$$$. So product_sold.csv, I don't want the header anymore, but I just want the second column, which is the price, with the header $$$. So you can do that. First of all, don't forget to use comma as a field separator. And then we can write our header. And then we can say that we don't want the first line of the input. I want only the price from product sold.csv. And here we go. We have a new header, $, and all the prices of our products sold. Another exercise, you can pause the video and try to answer it. How would you only display the price, second column, from the file product sold.csv with the header $, only for the one paid, column paid? So to explain a bit more, the last column of product sold.csv is called paid with an exclamation mark. And we only want the product where the value of the column paid is equal to yes. And we only want the second column of that. So again, we can use the last command we had, except that I need to add a new condition here in the pattern, and I want the seventh column, which is the column paid, to be equal to yes. And it works. All right, now let's see how we can do some computation using Oak. And Oak is really, really cool for that. If you have a CSV or whatever database in a file, you can really do some cool operation with it. Here we will see the basics, but you can afterwards just dig a bit by yourself, and you will find that you can basically use every operation almost you could use in a normal programming language. So from my product sold.csv, I want to know how many products I sold if the product is equal, if the product was sold for 20, let's say, euro or dollar, or whatever your currency is. So again, I need to precise that my field separator is, comma. I don't want to display, I don't want to take into account the header here. And I want the price to be equal to 20. And here I can use 20 without using a floating point number, and it will work. Even if I have floating point numbers in my CSV. So here what I'm doing is I declare a new variable which is called product, and then I will increment it each line, which will give me the number of products for each line, except that the pattern will reduce these lines and filter them. And I can even add an end pattern which will say, which will print the product variable and then a nice string of characters. And here we go. I have 24 products costing 20 euro, which have been sold. What if I want the sum of all the products sold? Well, same as before, I don't want to take into account the first line, which are the headers. And now I create a new variable which is called product, but I don't want to increment it each line. I want to add to the variable the price, which is the second column. And then I can use a nice end pattern. Total sales is product. And here we go. So it's really easy, it's really practical to just add stuff, and then you can imagine whatever operation you want. And don't forget, like I was saying here, we won't see it this time, but you can add as many variables you want, or as many actions you want, and it will work. All right, let's do some more exercises now. What if I want to calculate and display the average sale price per buyer from the file product_sold.csv? It's not really well said, but basically what I want to do is total of sale price divided by the number of buyers. So how can I do that? Here's the solution. Here. So I still don't want to take into account the first line because it's the header. I want to add each line the price. And now the problem is I want to know exactly how many there are buyers, but I can't use the number of records for that because the first record is not a buyer, it's just the header. So what I can do is I can do that. I can create again. I can create again a new variable. I will increment by 1 each time. And since the pattern here is here, I will jump the first line. Then at the end I can print average sale price is product divided by buyers. And here we go, I have the average sale price, which is 18.01. Another exercise. Oops. Calculate the total sales of super product 1 and display the list of users who bought it and how much each of them paid for it. So basically I want two columns, the column with the buyer and the column with the price of the product, only for super product 1. So let's go. And I want as well, why not, the header sales and buyers for each column, or price and buyers, let's say. Okay, you can try to answer, and here's the solution. So first I want my header. So the first one will be the price, or the buyers, why not? Second one, the price. Next, I don't want the header, and I want the product to be equal of super product 1. I want to add all the product price, and I want to print the user and then the price of each product, and then at the end I can add a new line and print total super product 1 put my total product price. And here we go. And I have a mistake here. I don't know why I use percentage, but it's dollar. So here I have the buyer, I have the price. It's not really well formatted, but I have what I want. I mean, if I want to do it a bit better, I could, you know, just add a couple of space. Not enough. More space. It's a bit hiking around, but yeah, you get it. All right, thanks a lot for watching. If you like the video, please like it. If you like my channel, speak about it to your family, to your child, to your grandparents. It would be awesome. You can subscribe as well. It will help me for the YouTube algorithm to pull out my videos from the obscurity. Thanks a lot for watching again. I hope you learned something. If you have any comments, please, I love feedback, so you can write them. And I wish you a very, very, very great day.